Hey, remember your social distancing.
And at KSAT 12, expect more room.
A bicultural icon that took the music and fashion worlds by storm.
She just represents everything. She's an amazing person. She's an amazing role model. She's an amazing artist. She was able to captivate you when she was singing.
She was the total package. I mean, she was often referred to as the Mexican Madonna.
She will always be an icon, and she's a true legend of music, but also in our history.
Her talent and beauty were undeniable, but it was her smile and laughter that could brighten any room.
Selena was that humble person. Never had a bad thing to say about anybody. She was always had a kind word, had a smile that was, it was contagious.
I learned a lot from her, and I continue to learn a lot, just being around her legacy. She was just an amazing energy to be around, and I think people picked up on that.
Her music, persona, and popularity still speaks to the heart of Texas 25 years after her death.
Selena is outselling some of the present-day artists. To me, maybe I'm using the wrong word, but to me it's phenomenal.
All over the world, her name is recognized, and now younger generations are keeping her legacy alive.
San Antonio is known as the capital of Tejano music, and one name that always resonates is Selena.
KSAT 12 is taking a look at how her legacy has continued to grow and is deeply rooted in the Alamo City.
Now, we are inside one of the many places here in town where she recorded a music video. The No Me Queda Más video shot right here inside Sunset Station on these steps.
For the next hour, we will hear from former band members, those who followed and knew Selena personally, and current artists and musicians that are keeping her music alive.
But first, we are going to take a look at the connection and history the Selena y Los Dinos have with San Antonio.
San Antonio has always truly been kind of like a second home to us.
Selena is an icon throughout the world, but certainly here in San Antonio.
Selena y Los Dinos were a huge part of the success of Tejano music in the early 90s.
Her music to San Antonio meant a lot to the Tejano industry and meant a whole lot more because it took us to another level.
Corpus Christi always has been the home of the Quintanilla family, but San Antonio is where the magic happened. This is where it all blossomed right here.
Back then, Selena could be found recording a music video along the Riverwalk, taking care of business at her boutique on Broadway, or performing at a club or music venue.
She was very proud of her roots. She was genuine. And in San Antonio, she opened up her first boutique there, I believe. And her concerts were always great sellouts. She used to stop at a little place over there near the Guadalupe Theater and eat hamburgers. She loved hamburgers and pizza. So I think a lot of folks could just relate to her. And this was before she was famous in the movies, just as a regional star. She was down home.
Selena was a part of so many San Antonio moments. She was a part of the opening of the Hard Rock Cafe downtown, won 36 Tejano Music Awards, and a part of packed fiesta events.
It's crazy because we used to play Fiesta Week, and obviously everybody knows Fiesta Week is free. But when we would step on that stage and we would, right outside of Mi Tierra, and we would see that crowd just lined up, we thought that was the world. We said, we're here. We've done it. We've made it. We don't need to work hard no more. We don't need to do nothing. The people are here, blah, blah, blah. But Dad would always be the one to bring us down and say, yo, this was a free event. People are here regardless of who's performing. So you guys get it, you still got to make hits.
25 years later, and Selena is still very relevant and a big part of the San Antonio culture.
Every weekend, somebody somewhere is playing tecnocumbia or carcacho or como la flor. It is a wedding, a birthday party, a carne asada,
barbecue,
of anything. Selena is part of that, is part of your lives.
I think the entire South Texas area as a Mexican-American artist at the height of her career at a time when there weren't many that were rising to that level. It was about pride in culture, pride in music, pride in knowing that in the highest echelons of the music industry and therefore has an impact on cultures far and wide. It gives you a sense of self and pride in your culture, and I think that's ultimately why her legacy has lived and will continue to live forever.
Take a Selena tour of San Antonio. Drive by the location on Broadway where her boutique was located, or visit Central Library where scenes of the movie were shot. Throughout the special, you will see RJ and myself at some of these locations. You can find this map right now on ksat.com.
I started getting gigs for them since she was 9 years old.
We hear from Abraham Quintanilla. He talks about Selena's lasting legacy and gives us a small glimpse of what the upcoming Netflix special is all about. And Los Dinos, Chris Perez, Pete Estudio, and Joe Ojeda tells us about their time performing next to the queen of Tejano music.
At Mr. Sparky, our community is our priority. Our team of professional electricians are on standby. Give us a call.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888.
And fans flock to the location where Q Productions and the Selena Museum are located. Inside Q Productions sits the studio where Selena recorded all of her hits.
On the other side of the building sits the Selena Museum. Cameras aren't allowed inside, but KSAT 12 was given a sneak peek. Most days you'll find Abraham Quintanilla somewhere around Q Productions or the museum. He spoke with us about Selena's legacy and what it means to the Quintanilla family. A lifetime in the music business, Abraham Quintanilla, now 81, is still an influential part of Q Productions and enjoys meeting with Selena fans daily.
We're doing all right. Good to be alive and doing the same thing that we love to do, music. I've always said that in Selena's case, it was never just the music, it was the person. People love Selena.
He loves to reminisce about their many visits to San Antonio.
We were on the road with Selena since she was 9 years old. I started getting gigs for them since she was 9 years old. You know, well, San Antonio is the hub of Tejano music. And we used to play a lot there in clubs when we were starting out. And we used to play quite often in San Antonio. And the response for Selena was great.
While Selena was well known in the Hispanic community in Texas and Mexico, her name didn't reach worldwide status until after her death.
You know, the movie helped to spread it out worldwide, because the movie is being shown in just about every country you can think of.
Abraham goes on to talk more about how current celebrities today play tribute to his daughter and honor her and her music.
You know, all these present-day artists are aware of Selena, what she has accomplished, and it's so very nice of them to do that, really and truly. They don't have to do that. They're doing their thing, but they do it because they remember her. And I think that they still love her, you know, and that's why they do that.
But what surprises him most is the amount of kids who are now dancing and singing her music.
It's also amazing to me that they bring young girls and boys too, not just girls. They want to sing, they want to dance, they want to be like Selena. And these children that come here weren't even born when Selena passed away. They have known her through the movie and her music.
And fans of all ages will get another chance to see Selena's life retold on screen in a new coming-of-age story on Netflix, starring Christian Serratos as Selena.
Nothing like the movie.
Okay.
It's going to be some reality and some fiction. It's a series. I think it's going to be 20 episodes.
As 25 years pass, one thing that is still evident is his love for his daughter and his appreciation to all her fans.
I definitely want to thank them for keeping my daughter alive through her music by remembering her and just being part of this Selena trip. I think that this is something that's going to be around for many, many years. It's just going to grow bigger now.
It was right here in Market Square where Selena y Los Dinos would perform to huge crowds. It was next to Mi Tierra where fans would cram in to sing and dance along. Now, we spoke to 3 members of Los Dinos, including Chris Bettis, and they give us a glimpse of what it was like to be on stage with the queen of Tejano music.
I don't think when we were doing what we were doing, I don't think we had an idea of the impact of the music, the impact of Selena, her legacy, what she stand for back then, and even more so now.
It was the late 80s when Chris Bettis, Pita Studio, and Joe Ojeda joined Selena y Los Dinos. Soon after, the band would see huge success.
You know, the chemistry was beautiful, and we all got along, and it was always fun time when we were, you know, musically creating together. To me, it was just like the best.
I was extremely blessed and lucky to have put my 5 cents worth in there, you know, along with A.B. We wrote together Como la Flor, we wrote La Carcacha together, we wrote Biri Biri Bam Bam.
I mean, I honestly couldn't be prouder, and it just means so much to me.
The band would travel all over the state, nation, and into Mexico, but it was in San Antonio where they had a special bond with their fans.
We have so many wonderful memories of San Antonio. Of course, with Selena, you know, we would do the Market Square and, you know, Fiesta and Under the Bridge, Desperados, T-Town, Reflex, all the club scene, Tejano Rose. So, you know, San Antonio, and then the big places, you know, the Alamo Dome, the Tejano Music Awards. So we have a lot.
Theater.
Yeah, we have a lot of history with San Antonio.
She had a lot of gratitude towards everybody that that supported us, supported her, and I think it came across and people feel that energy from her.
Aside from the music, they can't help but remember the personal bond and relationships they formed with Selena.
She was always making us laugh, and those were just beautiful, fun memories, just to be a part of her music and her life. Very touching.
She was real, she was sincere, she was transparent, and it wasn't an act. You know, what you saw on stage, what you saw in the, you know, you've seen the videos or the interviews, she's always silly and laughing and being a payasa.
Yes.
And I mean, that's who she was, and I think that's why people connected with her, because she seemed like she could be your friend. And just to share a stage with her, sing with her. But at the end of the day, my favorite thing is, or the most important thing is, she was my friend.
Now that people have learned the story and understand how hard it was and the work that we put into it, the work that she put into it, the work that her family put into it, and what she stands for now, it impacted me in a way like, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, I get what she means to people and what she represents.
As the years have passed, they are forever grateful for the memories and music made together.
I learned a lot from her, and I continue to learn a lot, you know, just being around her, her legacy.
I've gotten so much more that I could have asked for. So being with Los Dinos, with Selena Los Dinos, with A.B., with Joe, with Ricky, with Suzette, with Chris, with Abraham, with everybody, I mean, that was incredible.
They have branched out to create new music, have solo careers, but they are still all good friends. And their gratitude is now for the fans that have kept the music alive and continue to support Selena y Los Dinos.
San Antonio, thank you for all the support, for supporting, you know, Selena, of course, and of course the Dinos. Thank you so much.
I'd like to say thank you, like from the bottom of my heart. Really, it means so much. And it's such a source of, for me, light and love to feel and, you know, to get to experience with everybody. I mean, I'm along for the ride just like everybody else.
To rewatch Siempre Selena, head to our KSAT TV app on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, and Apple TV.
As her music career flourished, Selena also got to dive into the world of fashion. We take a look at how her fashion has stood the test of time and the impact she made on that industry.
Next at 10, the state says calls to a statewide hotline are down, but child abuse prevention advocates worry stay-at-home orders may be placing some kids at an increased risk of child abuse and neglect.
knew style. She had a passion for creating the outfits she and Los Dinos performed in, and they were always memorable. One of the most remembered, the cow print outfit, worn a few times.
When you saw that cow print outfit, what did y'all think?
Selena, we're not gonna get no girls tonight.
I don't know, man. I kind of dug it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little funky. So me personally, I kind of dug it. And I think that animal print was kind of stylish at the time. And as a matter of fact, if you go to fashion magazines, it's back. Animal prints are back again. So what we're saying, we were ahead of our time.
Yes.
Her love for fashion inspired her to open a boutique selling the clothes she designed as well as accessories. One of 2 boutiques was located on Broadway here in San Antonio. Back in 1994, she gave our anchor, Denise Valdez, a look inside.
I asked her why a singer was becoming a retailer.
Fashion is tied in with entertainment. People like to see glamorous things, and I thought it would be nice to have my own line of clothing.
This was my second visit with the Tejano star, and as I got to know her, I too became a fan. Her energy, enthusiasm, and warmth overwhelmed you.
There you go.
Just like that?
She's beautiful. Look at that.
Selena was a sexy, savvy woman, launching her own line of stores and balancing a blooming musical career. As we wrapped up our interview that day, I asked her, what's the toughest part about being Selena?
I think the most difficult thing is whenever you're tired, you can't show it. Sometimes fans might not understand, so I'm smiling for everybody. I'm really tired. I'm happy.
And just like her music, her fashion and style still inspiring many today. Forever 21 and MAC Makeup, just 2 of the latest companies to add Selena lines.
She wanted to create something that would last forever, and I helped her with the music to do that. And then she had the dreams of makeup, and she had the dreams of clothing. So we've only stayed within that realm.
You can get a feel for Selena's style right now inside the McNay Art Museum. A new fashion exhibit features some breathtaking photos of Selena. Here's a look inside.
So we are planning a concurrent exhibition. It's called Fashion Nirvana, Runway to Everyday. And when we were thinking about a celebrity or a style icon of the 1990s, which that exhibition focuses on, we were thinking about Selena. She was the architect of her own image. She was so fashionable. She owned her own boutique. And so she definitely was part of our 1990s fashion story. And to be able to secure photographs of her was just such an exciting moment. And we realized once we saw the photographs that it was really its own exhibition. You see, she was earlier in her career in 1992 and just emerging on the international scene, although she was already well known in Tejano circles. And then by 1994, she had been nominated for a Grammy. She had won many, many awards. She had been part of a lot of advertising campaigns, and some of the fame had worn on her a little bit. So you see a little bit of a difference in the persona of her from 1992 to 1994 in the photographs. Always so beautiful, always so stylish, always so iconic.
Still ahead, we take a look at Selena's Coca-Cola campaign and how it changed Hispanic marketing in the U.S.
Plus rare photos shared by a Selena superfan and a photographer who traveled with Selena y Los Dinos.
At 24,000 square feet, America's Diamond in San Antonio is the largest design and manufacturing jewelry store in America.
Coca-Cola was one of the first to realize the potential of Hispanic consumers. They started a Hispanic marketing division, and 2 San Antonians were a big part of that department, Al Aguilar and Bonnie Garcia. Both would discover Selena in the late 80s when Coca-Cola was a main sponsor for the Tejano Music Awards.
And so I flew in to watch the show, and she came out on stage. And I couldn't believe how the audience gravitated to her. She was the first artist that night that got a standing ovation, and I knew there was something special about her.
I was so amazed and impressed. I went back to Atlanta and told my bosses, the head of marketing at Coca-Cola Company, I said, you need to come down to Texas and see this young lady who's just amazing.
It would be Bonnie Garcia who just weeks later gave Selena her first Coca-Cola deal at just 17 years old.
So the way that it ended up happening is that I came back to San Antonio, picked up my mom because she is like the biggest Selena fan in the world, and we drove to Corpus Christi and went to her high school graduation, and that's where I presented her a check for $50,000.
Selena then flew to Mexico City to film her commercials, one in English and one in Spanish.
And all of a sudden here we start to see the face of Selena appearing with a major global brand like Coca-Cola. I mean, talk about pride. As consumers, as people who have never been appreciated or recognized, to now see our gente being recognized and being a part of a brand like Coca-Cola, you just had a strong sense of pride.
Throughout the rest of her career, Selena stayed on with Coca-Cola, and both Bonnie and Al created personal relationships with her, her untimely death having a huge impact on their lives.
I remember being in my office in Chicago when I heard, and the impact that it had on me personally was a tough time. It was a tough time.
You know, I was sitting at my desk when I got that call, and it was just shocking. To this day, you can see how emotional I get when I think of it.
Their work and lives after would be forever changed. Al's work with Coca-Cola now featured in the Smithsonian National Museum of American History. One of the photos on display is Selena's. Bonnie would go on to create her own company and recently wrote a book.
I just wrote a book of consejos, words of advice for young Latinas that are on their journey and on their path. And so I dedicated one story to her, and it's called Make Your Mark in Life.
And the two now not surprised at how her legacy has lasted for so many years.
Again, I think the one word is timeless. Just like the Wizard of Oz is timeless for generations and generations, Selena will always be.
It's hard to believe, but not really, because when there's a person that God has blessed us with, like her, that legacy has to live. He gave us a beautiful soul. He gave us a beautiful person, and beauty never dies.
There are so many well-known Selena photos out there, and some that you may have never even heard of or seen. We spoke to two men, one a Selena superfan who attended over 50 concerts, and another a photographer who was very close to the Quintanilla family. Their rare photos give us a glimpse into why she was so special to so many people. Selena, in some sense, grew up in front of a crowd and a camera. Ramon Hernandez, a former Express News and La Prensa writer and photographer, first met her and her family when she was just 13 years old.
I saw her perform at Rosedale, and I saw all this raw talent and the way she presented herself to the fans, and it was just a natural showmanship.
At that point, he knew he had to capture her true essence.
And I went to Abraham and I told him that I'd like to help them out and I'd like to interview her. So I did interview her for the Express News at that time, did her first interview, and we became friends. I went to Corpus, and they came over to my mother's house when we met the first time. I took them in the backyard. We shot some pictures.
For the next 5 years, Ramon traveled off and on with Selena y Los Dinos and captured many memories.
As a photographer, I did 5 album covers for her, and from the onset, I mean, she was so spontaneous, so full of joy, and she couldn't stand still. I mean, she was full of that energy.
And it was that same energy that captivated Jose Rios. He went to his first Selena show in Houston back in 1988 after hearing her music.
There was this big gap. You couldn't go between the audience and the stage. And I was like, oh man, they were not gonna let me through. But I sat down there and I waited for her to like look my direction, and I pointed at the roses and I pointed to her, and she did like come here, and I reached up and I gave her the roses and kissed her on the cheek, and that's how it all began.
Jose would continue to follow Selena y Los Dinos, and he took pictures each time he went to a performance. And every time, Selena would recognize him.
And she was just such a genuine person. Every time I saw her, she would remember me, and she would dedicate songs to me.
He attended over 50 performances, and that resulted in over 700 pictures of Selena y Los Dinos, and each one is a special moment or memory he will never forget.
I remember people always telling me that these pictures are going to be worth something one day, and I certainly wish it wasn't for this reason. I would have rather it have been something else, you know, for her.
And these rare photos, just another glimpse at how amazing of a person Selena really was.
Just treasured memories, definitely treasured memories.
Coming up, KSAT Remembers. Our Jesse Degollado talks about covering Selena throughout the years and being one of the first to ever hear Dreaming of You before it was
delivery. It's your order brought straight to your door fast. Or let our dedicated team deliver and set up your furniture in-home. Selection, value, and trust. That's Rooms to Go.
I remember the trip to Corpus Christi. Granted, it was well ahead of any social media, but Spanish language radio was blowing up. People were calling in, expressing their grief, their disbelief, their theories as to how this could have happened, who did it. Across the street was a La Quinta Inn, and our best vantage point was on a balcony on the second floor overlooking the hotel across the street and the balcony and the room where this had happened. And we could see the red pickup truck where Yolanda Saldívar was sitting and where police negotiators were. I remember it being a very, very long day. I remember doing a lot of live shots for stations across the state. Everyone had heard of Selena, but never at that point did we realize what this day truly would someday mean. But most of all, I remember what happened after the incident was over, after Yolanda Saldívar had been driven away by police. The photographer Larry Burns and I decided to go straight over to Q Productions, Selena's recording studio owned by her father, Abraham Quintanilla. And to our surprise, they let us in. And in fact, they were very, very gracious. Mr. Quintanilla was surprisingly composed. But knowing what I know of Mr. Quintanilla, I know he was probably holding it all inside at that point. But he was very gracious, and he even went so far, after showing us photos of his daughter as a young girl and growing up, he took us to the studio. And in that studio, there were friends and family, musicians, people who were close to Selena. And they were all in the studio, crowded around the board. And Mr. Quintanilla had the engineer play what would become certainly a song that we all now know. And it was really the first time that any of us had heard it. And I remember everyone crying, hearing her voice fill the studio. It was as if she was there. Most recently, I had a chance to interview Chris Bettis, Selena's husband. And of course, back then, no one really knew much about him, other than he was in her band and that they fell in love and had married despite her father's misgivings. But that's how much they were so young and so in love. Having met him now, all these years later, again, I am just so impressed with how far he's come since that terrible, terrible day. He's really come to terms with what happened. And he's really come a long way in having not only started his own life and career without Selena, but he's also very comfortable now in talking about her. And he loves the fact that so many other people are now coming up to him, young and old, coming up to him and saying how much they love her. And he said that touches him. That really, really touches him. And that goes to show again what she has meant to her fans and to fans generations later. As to what Selena has now become, she's gone beyond being a Tejano music legend. She's now a cultural icon.
Walking, this sauce would pair great with salmon, shrimps, coconut shrimps, like the ones we did here.
Chickens. Anyway, it's a really beautiful sauce. So put this bad boy in the air fryer.
Yep. Cook it up.
According to package
350, 350 to 400 degrees. 350 to 400. Rewind. 350 to 400 degrees. Really, really simple, quick, crispy. Serve with the sauce. Now, what do you serve this with to drink?
We would do the Lone Pine Yellow Rose and the Riondo Prosecco. For this and other recipes, log on to ksat.com/HEB. In May 2014, the group known as Bidi Bidi Banda performed their first show, and the rest was history. The band now travels all over the country as the premier Selena tribute band. The band is comprised of 8 members, with singer Stephanie Vergara leading the way.
Literally have continued to do this band because people have continued to ask us to do it. The intention was only to do this the banda one time, and we never expected to be on tour. It's really been a blessing. It's super fun.
Bidi Bidi Banda doesn't try to replicate Selena. They only play the music that continues to keep people dancing. Bidi Bidi Banda not the only ones keeping Selena's music alive. In fact, a whole new generation have become fans. We speak to young emerging Tejano artists and local youth musicians who were first introduced to Selena within the last decade and tell us how important her music has been to them.
Last fall, 12-year-old Tejano artist Mia Garcia took on a huge task, recreating Bidi Bidi Bom Bom.
Yeah, we wanted it to have my own sound, because we wanted it to have like Selena. Yes, like it was the focus, but we wanted it to be like a hint of Mia in there. So we wanted to have my own sound.
The music video, shot partially here in San Antonio, instantly went viral with thousands of views. Mia, like Selena, started her career at a very young age. By 5, she was singing in front of audiences, and last year became the youngest artist to win a Tejano Music Award.
I'm proud of myself, but I know that I can do much more too. So I'm just reaching for the stars. I know that I can do like a lot more, and I just want to be a big inspiration to people.
And Mia isn't the only young Tejano artist walking in the same path as Selena did. Isabel Marie Sanchez, for the past several years, has exploded onto the Tejano music scene and is signed under Abraham Quintanilla.
I was listening to her music and watching interviews on YouTube, so I didn't think I would be able to meet her dad, her sister, her mom, her brother, and so to be able to work with them and also get the experience. So to be able to get that experience in advice I take it and I run with it, because you can't get that anywhere else.
Last year, Isabel was chosen by the Quintanilla family to play along with the Houston Symphony as they performed Selena's greatest hit. More recently, she did the same with the Youth Orchestra of San Antonio.
I'm really excited to be able to do this tribute and give my generation some of her music, and we can all enjoy it together.
The Youth Orchestra of San Antonio is also part of a new generation of musicians who learn from their families who Selena was.
I grew up, waking up in the morning with my mother cleaning and hearing music in the background, even going to fiesta events like at the Market Square. I would always love listening listening to her music. And the movie is so inspirational to me and to Mexican Americans around the country. And it's just been a major part of my life.
And now they understand the impact they have in playing Selena's music and keeping it relevant for future generations.
I think in a way it kind of reflects the values that we hold in classical music as a whole with composers like Beethoven, Mozart, where you can just kind of pick them up and you can listen to them in any time period and still remark on how beautiful they are and what an impact they've had on their society. And I think in a lot of ways that's why we see Selena, or we feel her with so much importance in today's society.
I feel our generation not only needs to know the music, but needs to know the history. Know how Selena came up with the music and where she got her aspirations from.
I feel like we're still keeping the music alive. Even though she's passed away and even though it's a long time ago, it's still continuing to come and go as time goes on. And it just continues to just keep going.
What is your favorite Selena song? We've got some interesting answers.
Plus, Selena 25 is taking place this year. We have more on who.
At Mr. Sparky, our community is our priority. Our team of professional electricians are on standby. Give us a call.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
That would have to be Amor Prohibido. That was my favorite song I ever produced for her.
I was going to say all the songs, but I don't know, Bailes de Cumbia had a lot of energy, and it's kind of one of the songs that kind of like crosses into the international market. So I'm gonna stick with Bailes de Cumbia because it was fun watching Selena dance on stage like always.
I personally liked Dame un Beso. Real bouncy, real catchy, upbeat, It was one of her early songs, so it was just a cute song, and I liked it.
I think me personally, one of my favorites was Ama Me Quiere, which actually was the first duet that I recorded with. It wasn't like a monster hit like Baila or Carcacha, because it was a Tejano, hardcore Tejano song. But that was the first duet that I recorded with her.
Como la Flor. Anytime there is a concert happening and all of a sudden somebody busts out a tribute to Selena, that's what gets people to their feet.
My favorite song to perform live, let's see. Oddly enough, Las Cadenas, it's a conjunto accordion. I used to love to play those. It was such a change-up on stage, because we were always doing a lot of the cumbias and the other classic kind of Tejano ranchera type songs. But to play the conjunto stuff, man, I mean, I learned from the best, and it was just a lot of fun to play those types of things, which I know is strange to people because they're like, he's the rocker, But no, I mean, I love all styles of music, and those were my favorite.
My all-time favorite song that just really touches me forever and ever and ever, and I'll stop whatever I'm doing, it was when I hear No Me Queda Más. And then you see the video of her in her beautiful dress as she's coming down the steps that was shot right here in San Antonio, as we know. But that song, the lyrics, the words, the emotion that she exudes, that just touches me every single time.
I love Bitty Bitty Bum Bum. I love that. Just because it's so happy, and I remember even when the video came out, I thought, wow, that's quite a good Tejano video. So I think it's fresh, it's fun, and it's timeless. It really, if it came out today, it'd be a hit.
There's an English song that we perform with the symphony, and it's called Where Did the Feeling Go? She actually recorded that song at my age, 16, and I definitely feel more of a connection towards that one because of, how young she was and the feeling that she put in that song, and I hope that people are able to feel it the same way when I perform it.
Dreaming of You is one of my all-time favorites, and every time I hear it, it just, the video, the way they did the video and everything. So Dreaming of You is a big one.
Como la Flor. Yeah, that, when she started that and just belted that out, Yeah, it always got to my heart.
There was a lot. I loved it when she kind of gave like attitude when she was singing, like the llaves and stuff like that, like the cumbias. There was a little bit of everything. I really didn't have a favorite back in the day. After she passed, everything had a different meaning for me. And it wasn't like, oh, I have to hear that song. It's more like, wow, she did that and we did that. And so, you know, everything is special to me now.
For more than 2 decades, Selena has remained a key figure in our culture, and this year a big celebration will be held in her honor right here in San Antonio. Take a look at what's being planned at the Alamo Dome.
It's a celebration like no other. Selena 25 Años is a new tribute concert that will take place right here in the Alamo City.
There's no better city to step up than San Antonio to make something permanent happen, and we look forward to, you know, a real wonderful recognition of her life and her career.
CEO and president of Q Productions, Suzette Quintanilla, made the announcement.
I finally get to announce something that I have been working on with my team to celebrate somebody that I believe has left a huge part of herself within each of us. That's Selena. Selena represents so much to a lot of people for different reasons. So I'm very, very honored to be able to bring this amazing tribute concert with some pretty amazing people and artists that are going to be able to just celebrate Selena.
The lineup is huge, and headliners consist of Pitbull, Los Tucanes de Tijuana, and A.B. Quintanilla y Los Cumbia All-Stars.
This is different because I'm crossing paths with my sister. So for me, this show is I have many shows before this one, but this is the one that I'm really going into detail for. So you know what I'm saying? So I want for people to leave and go, wow, A.B. did a really, really good job of honoring his sister.
Other acts include Tejano artists like Elida y Avante, Ruben Ramos, and Pete Astudillo.
It's so symbolic, and it's gonna be sad. I know it is. It's gonna get emotional, but it's gonna be great to see so many fans, so many new fans, so many people still loving the music, still loving her and what she stands for.
And while the artists have been announced, you can expect some surprises.
So I hear that the producers have a few tricks and surprises up their sleeves too, so it'll be fun even leading up to it.
The big night will conclude with a laser light show finale, the all-day event, all to commemorate the icon and legend, Selena.
I hope they leave here with just an experience that they've never had before in their life. You know, if they love Selena, and just to leave with something like, wow.
Coming up, the Queen of Tejano broke many records and is still breaking them today. We take a look at her legacy.
It ain't pretty when greedy insurance companies play dirty. Bring it on. I'm Jim Adler, the Texas Hammer.
It's been 25 years since Selena was tragically taken too soon, but what she has left behind has proven to be everlasting.
Selena continues to break records. As we close out this special, we take one final look at her legacy and why she is the most celebrated Mexican-American entertainer.
Her music is still more popular than ever. Selena is the #1 selling Latin artist of all time with 70 million records sold worldwide.
Last year, Spotify reported Selena's music garnered 163 million streams and 11.9 million listeners in 79 countries.
I think even Selena would be surprised that she's now entered the realm of someone like James Dean or Marilyn Monroe or John Lennon, these icons that are symbolic beyond their music, beyond their ethnicity, beyond where they came from. And so in that sense, there's a lot of power still in the music, Selena, in that image and what she represented.
She had that effect, and can you imagine what kind of effect she would have now in today's, with today's social media the way it is? And she'd be, 100 times more popular.
Her name is on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, that ceremony attracting the largest turnout for a star unveiling. And we can't forget the Madame Tussauds wax figure created in her honor. The demand to visit the wax figure in Hollywood was so high that a second was created for New York City.
It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so the constant realization of what this means to a lot of people, you know, the love story, the family, you know, being together and working hard and the struggle. I think it's an amazing thing, and I'm proud to be attached to it in the way that I am.
And this year, the world will continue to celebrate her. MAC has already announced a new line of makeup, a Netflix series to be released, People magazine releasing a commemorative issue in March, and so much more is still yet to come as new generations continue to honor her.
I always say, you know, there's a fan born every day, because it seems like the new generation of fans, and they're even more enthusiastic than the older fans, but it's incredible.
She represents, I think, us as Latinos, as Mexican Americans. She represents a new generation of what Tejano music was, and changed that format along with our group. You know, what the sound was, that cumbia, hip hop, trendy type of vibe, and continues to be you know, play still to this day.
A truly one-of-a-kind person and entertainer that will keep us all dancing and smiling for many more years. Siempre, Selena.
Live from KSAT 12, the Night Beat starts right now.
Amazing.